Hi there, just read this disclaimer please. Alright, so we've got the first information about the Woodford return of capital. I almost said capital return, but that kind of makes it sound like you've made a profit, doesn't it? Return of capital, actually that might not be the right phrase. Return of something? The MAC? So obviously each different share class gets a different amount of cash because they've all got different charges, or some of them have accumulated the dividends, some have paid out. So the one I have is C sterling income. So I will be getting 48.2426 pence for each of my units that I hold. But this is a capital distribution, that's the word. That doesn't mislead people into thinking that you've actually made a profit. Net asset value from around the 30th of January, so I'll probably get that in a couple of days. This is the thing that confuses me. This means that the number of shares that you hold in the fund will remain the same, but the price per share will reduce to reflect the value paid out. Now that to me doesn't make sense. I don't understand why they do it that way. Because so the taxman needs to know a cost and a disposal proceeds, well they're the words they use, cost, disposal proceeds are needed to work out any capital losses in this case, or capital gains. But if they don't tell me, if they don't reduce the number of units we own, how do I know what the capital cost is to use for that partial sale? It's essentially like partially selling my Woodford holding, isn't it? Someone, for now, before I get the answer to this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use, this is the price on the 27th was 65.08 for my units. So if I subtract off the amount I'm going to get paid back, whoops, I can then put it into two lines. So I've got 48.26, that's what I get paid in a few days time, and then that's what will be left over. So what I'm going to do is use those two numbers as use them proportionally. So the total it actually cost me was 46,859, but I'm just portioning it off based on the price on whatever day I get the money back. So obviously this 65.08 will change when the remainder gets sold, whenever that is, whenever we get that return of capital. Probably will be in another tax year, I would guess. So it's important information. Okay, so I've just logged in about 4:30 on the 30th, so it all seems to have happened on time. £19,854.09, which is exactly what I had worked it out to be. Okay, so that's all cool. So tomorrow morning, well, yeah, I'm really hoping the markets keep going down, because the money that's in Woodford, I think for a few days now, has been all in cash. Because I noticed I think it was 2 days ago, there was a big drop in the market and Woodford's just was kind of flat. So I think they've had the money in cash for a few days, which had a good day and then a bad day. So we could be a bit lucky here with the market timing. Okay, so we still haven't got the price for today to compare it. Anyway, I'm probably going to buy into Merchants Trust, which is good that it's down today. Hopefully it'll carry on going down tomorrow so that I can get the money in there at a decent price. Quite a hefty spread there though, isn't there? Bit annoying. What's 39 divided by minus 35? There's a spread of 4 pence divided by 535. 0.74% spread. Similar one for Henderson High Income as well though. This is the other contender. I think I'm going to go for Merchants. It's got a bit of a higher current yield, Henderson High Income has. But when we look at their prospective dividend histories, Henderson's at about a 2 to 3% increase in the dividends, and Merchants is about 4 to 5% increases in the dividends. It's a bit growthier. Also, I already have quite a lot of my money being run by Janice Henderson, who run HHI, who run this one. So I figure I should go for one where I haven't got loads of money with already. So I wonder what we're looking at here then. 6.8 times 3 plus 6.7. So we're on track for a minus 26 divided by 26. We're on track for a 4.2% increase. So it's kind of growing a bit faster, but who knows. To be honest, I think a lot of this, these 2 years have had higher increases than the previous. I think a lot of it is down to that high interest debt that has recently been paid off. So I reckon, even though these are a bit higher than these previous few years, I reckon it's just a temporary effect. I reckon once the effect of this high interest loans that they've recently paid off, once that effect is gone, we might go back down to lower increases in the dividend similar to these years. So I'm not getting my hopes up that these 4% increases would carry on, to be honest, because it's quite a high yield to start with. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for that. Alright guys, so it's the next morning. A couple of hours ago I bought Merchants Trust at a price of 5.4259p. As you can see there, so the total cost was 19,849. So most of the cash, I think about £4.50 has gone to cash, because obviously when you buy investment trust you can only buy whole numbers. One thing I noticed here, PTM levy, so Google, I think I kind of knew about this. So when the transaction's over 10 grand, you pay £1 to the panel and takeover and mergers regulatory body. Man, it's such a token gesture, what's the point? I don't know, maybe it all adds up and it becomes material. So it's a little bit extra when you do larger amounts. I don't think I've often done large amounts when I've bought shares before, that's why it was kind of new to me. Or I probably have done it before and just not noticed the £1 written there. What I mentioned earlier about them not giving us the information needed to apportion the cost of the partial holdings I now have. So I was going to use the price on the 30th, because the 30th is the day I got my 48 pence or whatever it was I got given back. So to apportion the cost for the tax returns, I need really to know the price on the 30th, but it's not there. And I've looked on various other websites, I couldn't find it. So in the end, I've gone to the source. Link Fund Solutions are I don't know what they are. They kind of run the thing now. And I've found this web page, and I had to find LF Investment Fund, because I've kind of renamed it. Take Woodford out of there. And I found the price for the 30th of the 1st. So for C Sterling Income, the price on the 30th is 17.13 pence. So, as I mentioned, I've put it into 2 lines. So now what we have is we have one line, 17.13 pence, which is still there. And now I have one line for the cash, which in a moment I'll boldify it and put it up here with my other X holdings. But as you can see, to get the costs, all I've done is multiplied the cost which I originally had by this formula. So it's basically a portion of it. It's the unit price that's left over, 17.13 divided by 65, whatever the sum of those two numbers is, to apportion what was there before and what was there after. So I now have this information for my self-assessment return, which also means that that number there now goes into my cost cell there for what's left over of the Woodford fund. And then obviously I've added a line here for Merchants Trust. Obviously it's gone down, because that's what always happens. You have all the costs, and then it must have gone down a bit anyway, just generally. But so I've obviously put in the dividend information, so it's yielding about 5.08. But if we go back, because Woodford did so badly, I've had to go back to a previous video because I've lost the information now. But as we can see here on this previous video, we did have penciled in 0.38 pence, which was yielding about 5.49% at the time. But that was based on that value, and that value's gone even lower. It's just an absolute disaster of an investment. So because this value's gone lower and lower and lower, my income has gone down by a fair bit. Because Merchants is a high yielding trust, but I mean it's never going to make up the losses that Woodford has made in terms of my income. So what we've got here is now 11,239 projected income from my investments compared to 11,673. So it's about 400 odd quid lower now, my income. I mean, it was always going to be lower. Even if Woodford wasn't closed down, it still would have been lower because he'd just done so badly, and the dividends we would have got from him had he carried on would have been much lower anyway. So it's not like I've lost anything today. I lost it when I made the bad decision to invest with him and stick with it for a long time. But what I've done now is I've kind of put in this number. So eventually when I get this 7 grand, which will probably end up being lower anyway, I will invest it in Merchants. So I've kind of given myself a bit of leeway there with the yield being lower there than it is here. So that's kind of what I'm expecting to get paid now in dividends. No, I think that's it. Alright, so see you next time. Bye bye.